I have always known that to whom much is given, much is also required. And I had been, from the very first time I could afford to pay for my own rent, looking outside myself to see how I could use what I had been given to help somebody else. And I had learned through the process of trying to help other people that you can't change people by giving them money, but you can change them when you offer them the opportunity to change themselves. So I started a search with a team looking for girls in South Africa who had it. I called it the it factor. It's almost indescribable. It's that thing that says, no matter what, I will. No matter what happens, I still believe I can do. It's it even when you don't have the means to. You have the will and the desire and the passion for greatness. So I specifically went looking in the eye, interviewing personally girls who had it. What I realized is that you need support. You need people who want you to win. You need people who are in your corner. You need people who care about you, who want your success, who are not jealous of your success, who have no envy about you moving ahead or moving forward. You know, my father and my mother never married, and they were only together one time. And it, for him, wasn't about a calling. It was about, my mother was wearing a poodle skirt. And he said he wanted to know what was up under there. And he found out one time, and that was me up under there. And at the time that I was born, there weren't any great proclamations or even anyone who wanted me. My mother hid the pregnancy until the day her water broke. And I was considered that illegitimate child and all that that meant in 1954 in Mississippi. For a long time, I felt the shame of that, the lack of esteem around that. But around 4 or 5, I started to understand that there was a calling. I was watching my grandmother hanging clothes on a line. And we grew up in rural Mississippi, no running water, no electricity, no television. Of course, you didn't have television, you had no electricity. So I was watching my grandmother hang clothes out on a line. And it was a cool day because I could see the moisture from her breath. And I was supposed to be on the back porch churning butter. So I would only churn when she'd look at me. I'd look at me and then I'd churn. And then she'd look at me, I'd churn some more. And she was hanging clothes on the line and she said, "Oprah Gail, you better watch me now because one day you're going to have to learn how to do this for yourself." And I tell you, I think I was between 4 and 5. I remember having this feeling inside myself while watching her that, I am not going to be hanging no clothes on the line. It's just a little feeling that came over me that said, your life will be bigger than this. There's something greater than this ahead for you. Now, I could feel that inside myself, but I was smart enough not to tell my grandmother that. The little voice said, but don't tell her. I have been led by that little voice my entire life. And if I had any real wisdom to share with you, it is let that voice lead you. Let that voice, that's the common ground that we all share. I have led and continue to lead a magnificent life. And all the things that are ever said about me and the accomplishments and the things that I've been able to do, and the Oprah Show #1 for 25 straight years, all of that stuff, good stuff, all the awards, all the stuff Hajira was talking about. But what nobody really knows is the sense of contentment, fulfillment, reward, rejoicing, happiness, and peace I feel. Because my entire life I have listened and been guided by that voice. That voice is your inner GPS. It is your intuition. It is your voice of God, your higher power, your higher self that everybody has, that allows you to make the right decision even when other people are wrong, that allows you to do the right thing even when nobody, and especially when nobody else is watching. I have been guided by that voice that has led me to this place at JCSU today. You can never go wrong, because the truth is we live in a great time. In spite of what we see on the television and violence against young black men that they have no power and control over, in spite of the times, we have each been, as Maya Angelou used to say to me, paid for. Your crown has been paid for, and your #1 job is to put it on your head and wear it. Your #1 job is to know that the crown has been paid for, and you've got to know it. And how do you continue to know and pay that crown forward? Well, you can't do it unless you know yourself. Stedman wrote a book about You Can Make It Happen. And the first chapter in that book talks about checking your ID or knowing your identity. You can't pay the crown forward unless you know who you are, where you come from, and the sacrifice, the true sacrifice, and hope and tears and struggle that went into making you who you are, because you didn't do it alone. At no point in my rise in my career did I ever think that anything that was happening just because of me.